guys? Welcome to a new episode of the Type 1 Lifting Podcast. We are at the Touch and Go gang is here. New studio, my in-laws' basement. So let's go. We are talking CrossFit Games. But first of all, I want to see how everyone's week's been so far. So Xander, how was your week?
Um, I guess it's still trying to get back to on a normal sleep schedule after the CrossFit Games. It's a lot of early mornings, late nights, having a lot of fun trying to find some kind of sustenance that's open. Shout out Bel Air Cantina for all the food that I ate there 5 out of 7 nights.
Yeah. So do you feel it kind of out of whack since you're like back at work?
I feel like that was Tuesday. So I drove home Monday. So I felt out of the loop Tuesday. I got a lot done, but it just kind of felt like I got stuff done, but mentally I was still just shot. My boss asked me at like 4 o'clock, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Honestly, I'm just exhausted." But everything's good. Today was the first real day I felt good training, um, and happy to be back and excited to start phase one next week.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Hannah Hardy's down below in the bottom left. So how was your week?
I pretty much feel the same, like the same as Xander. So, uh, like traveled home Monday. We had like some like flight issues, but got home just fine. At clinic yesterday, I just felt out of whack. Training actually felt good. You know, I have that post games energy, and it's like, okay, this is like my first day of training for the 2023 season. So I was pretty amped there, but yeah, I like actually like at clinic, and it was fun seeing patients, but then all like the busy work and paperwork and other school stuff wasn't that great. But today I hit more of a groove, and just getting back to normal, trying to get more sleep uh because I feel like I don't even know. I didn't even sleep at all during the games. Like Xander said, it's a lot of early mornings, it's a lot of late nights. Yeah, like everything's closed, especially like on Sundays. You're just like, oh yeah, I forgot everything closes. um so but all in all, like week's been going great.
All right, awesome. All right, Vic, what do you got for the week? How was your week last week?
Man, I'm still yawning right now. It's basically the same thing. Very little bit of sleep. I haven't really trained. I mean, I went to the gym today to try and like move my body, but really, I don't think I'm going to be doing anything serious for at least another day or two.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. It just really took it out of me. I tried to train while I was in Madison and also work and also watch, and it wasn't good. It's not sustainable, but it was
Yeah.
super fun.
Yeah. Well, one of these people is not like the other. Everyone I went to the CrossFit Games except for me. Um, so my week was kind of interesting because I mean everyone knows here, but my dad was in the ICU and he's still in the ICU as we speak. Um, and I immediately on last week on Thursday, I immediately went down, flew up to Massachusetts to see the family and obviously see my dad because I haven't seen him in like three years because of COVID and all that stuff. And so it was, to be honest with you, it was kind of hard kind of seeing him like that, with like tubes all over the place and stuff. Even though I've been in the medical field for 14 years, it's a lot different seeing, a family member in that situation too. But on a brighter note, we are moving into a new house, so all this stuff with my dad was happening when we were moving into a new house. So it's been a pretty busy week, sleeping in the in-laws for a couple days before we move in. So, and literally my son's like a Mexican jumping bean, just jumping all over the place in the bed when like sleeping with me. So yeah, all the good stuff. But while I was up in Massachusetts, I managed to go to two boxes. One of them was CrossFit Walpole, literally like it's like in the middle of nowhere, but like the gym facility is really nice, the owner's really nice, the coaches are really cool, and I actually learned a new movement. It was an ab mat sit up wall ball throw. So
Yep.
like you're like a foot away from the wall, and so you do like literally a crunch, and you throw the wall up in the air. And you do like it was for a workout. You had to do like 20 reps of them. Absolutely smoked. My abs were still feeling it.
They're so bad. Like
Yeah.
there's that weird movement that like it's like the GHD sit up with a med ball, except like take to the next level.
Hmm. Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm definitely going to add that more into the repertoire, so because I need to get the abs going and stuff. And then I went to another gym, CrossFit Prosperity. I've been there like 4 years ago, but they actually moved to a new facility. Vic, you got to check this place out. It's in Norwood, Massachusetts.
Yeah, one of my friends goes there,
Yeah,
actually.
huge gym. Like they originally they were at like a local like like on a small mom and pop store, and then they moved into a bigger facility like right before COVID. And they have like a weightlifting room, and they have this huge like CrossFit room that they can at least facilitate like at least like 50 people in there. It's huge. It's
That's bonkers.
yeah,
Yeah.
not like CrossFit Nashville, East Nashville or anything like that. But the East Nashville could hold a lot more, but these guys can hold it up. And like that gym, the owner's like super cool too. So and that whole environment, that community is super nice. So and I really do appreciate both of those communities kind of, let me throw down with them. So but that was my week. So all right. So let's talk about the CrossFit Games. So we're gonna go, all four of us have been in different aspects of watching the games. Me being at home, Xander being part of the media team for Misfit Athletics and kind of filming and then doing the age group qualifiers. Hannah being a coach, and then Vic for his first time being at the CrossFit Games. So I'll go first. So typically, I honestly every year that goes by, I really don't think they need to change much on as like doing the online live streams because it's done so well. And it looks the same, to be honest with you. Like I watched like a whole bunch of the YouTube videos. I watched the capital capital workout live while I was like working. So that was the only live event I actually got to see. But obviously they put in a lot of work and detail into doing the YouTube streams and everything like that. So I mean, I really had no issues with any like the camera angles or anything like that, or whoever was complaining about like talking about the workouts or anything like that. That's kind of my 2 cents, and I really don't think they need to change it. But I don't. Have you guys seen the YouTube? I know you guys were there, but did you guys go back to watch any of the workouts?
I personally haven't gone back to like see any of the workouts. It's funny because you're like, oh, the live feed was great, but at the Capitol event, trying to see it live was a dumpster fire. like you only like if you were downtown at the Capitol building, you were only going to see like where you ended up standing for because they did 2 heats for the first hour and a half. Like that's like you're either seeing somebody pick up the jerry cans, put them down, pick up the Husafel, or like carry it up the stairs for like one of the steps. That was it. Like you didn't, if you were a photographer or videographer, they were like, yeah, you're probably only going to get one shot and it's going to be the same shot over and over again. And I was like, oh, this is not what I wanted.
But Vic, did you see any of the live event? Like,
Yes. Well, yeah, I had to watch some of the live streams from our booth at Big Dane. So I was also working with Podium. So we had shifts. So only a few of us could go back and forth to the Coliseum at the same time. The Capitol was one that I had to watch on one of our iPads, and it was great. We was like, all right, we put it on the side. We just kind of did our thing, but also had it running, and essentially it brought people in because they're like, oh, what event are we doing? Like, and they would sit down with us, like, grab some popcorn essentially and just kind of sit and watch with us. So the stream was good. They did. I feel like the coverage was actually really good. I know there was a quip last year with the games where they weren't really covering all the athletes at once, where they were zooming in and not really getting everyone in the entire picture going. So I think they did a much better job of covering all the athletes this year during those heats.
Hannah, what do you think?
I've heard the exact opposite. We had like everybody at the gym basically messaging us being like, why doesn't someone live stream on Instagram?
You want to lose a media pass for like you and whoever else is on your media team real quick? That's why.
Well, luckily we didn't have to, Brian friend ourselves, but because, none of us are media. But in the end, like I think they could do better. I mean, the team division's the team division, so they're just gonna focus on whatever team goes out in the beginning. And sometimes it was us, so we got all the coverage, and most of the time that was not us, and we did not get anything. But so I think they can. I mean, they can do a better job. Maybe I've always been a proponent of just setting up one camera for just to see the entire field at play, and then you can have a comment without commentary, or you just hear what's coming through from the people on the floor, and then you can have actual commentary on a stream if you want it. So you can choose what you want to watch.
You want Manningcast. You want ESPN like Monday night, like multiple angles, multiple people talking, like, which makes sense. I just don't know if it's feasible yet, but it's a good ask.
No, like I just literally, if someone just had just a camera that did not move, that did not have commentary, I mean, people talk like it. I mean, the commentary would be coming from whatever comes through the mic on the camera from the people on the floor. So it's not like they're zooming in or anything like that. They get to see all of the action. You get to see the people come out of nowhere. It's kind of like, okay, no one saw Will Morad at Syndicate just go crush the event. They're like, except for his little final snatch. You never realized he was ahead the entire time, and you're like, oh, he won. So if you had a camera showing the entire floor, yeah, you would have to actively choose that stream, or just have them maybe that one muted and have the commentary of the other one. But why can't you do that?
Didn't they do that before? I don't know if didn't Morning Chalk Up have their own stream too as well? At one point with no commentary, like last year, I believe, or 2 years ago.
May have, but I just know CBS, like the way the whole media rights is like it goes over to CBS Sports and CrossFit as a whole. Like pretty much like me, like knowing, like I knew, like if anything had gone on Instagram Live, for example, I would have had the media credential pulled, not just for me, but everybody I was working with. So like I think that's why Morning Chalk Up just went to just writing and dropping all the articles and those things as much as they could. It would be great to have it. I just don't know if it's like, because my thing is, if you want to see the whole floor, it's going to give up seats, so that's going to be a problem. But if it's on, like outdoor wise, it would make sense if like they had a camera up top, like right where the food trucks are. If you're like, Tom, you don't know because you'll go next year, but it's like,
thanks for letting me know.
You're welcome. But the left-hand side where it shoots it, but the problem is too, it's like you're not going to see everything on the far side. Like there's that tough, because like some of the workouts, for instance, I thought one of the cool workouts was the team bike ride event where they only had two bikes, and they had to keep doing those synchro toe to bar and the bob push with two people, but it was complete utter chaos when they had to switch out the bikes, and I was like, that's dope. A lot of people slipped and absolutely just ate it too, which kind of made my heart go happy just to see, like, it's just rubbins racing. Everybody enjoys Days of Thunder.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like the Tour de France, so you see like people just take massive, like crazy crashes.
Oh, people were trying to do the quick, like, get off and go, but because it rained that day, they just completely just like ate it, and I was like, oh, you are human.
I was also at the bottom of a hill, so you'd come in like blazing hot, and then like all of a sudden you're like trying to brake. Yeah, I mean, hearing it from the team, I was just like, just don't. If you don't know how to do it, just don't try. You're just either gonna get hit or you're just gonna fall.
Yeah,
stop, get off, run.
Yeah, I do agree. They should at least have like one camera showing, everything. I mean, maybe on top, like maybe just have them on like a top of a big podium or something like that, or a big like stage, like like how like the football coaches do. They have like that little I'm having a brain fart, but like the rig that actually lifts them up like all the way up in the air, so they could watch everything all at once. So they could at least have just like one cameraman or like a camera just constantly on that at all times, just so they can just see what goes on. And even inside, there's plenty of spaces you could watch. You could have a camera just lined up and just have them just sit there and just do a live feed that way.
No, I think it's something that they'll figure out. But I mean, I think it's like an incentive of if you want to see the floor and you want to see your favorites, and they're not going to be the top of the heat, just come to the games. Which I mean, it's an incredible experience, and you should do that if you want to see like the entire picture.
All right, all right. So, Xander, so you did the age line qualifiers.
Yep.
So, obviously they didn't do, too much exposure on them. They're more focused on the elite people. But how was your experience, at the CrossFit Games with the age line, the age qualifiers?
Yeah, so I covered a lot of them. So the Misfit Athletics had five athletes qualified, two teens, Jenna McLeod, Sophie Shaft. Sophie took third place in the 16-17 division. Then we had Roy Gamboa, or properly known as Rogelio Gamboa, which is way more fun to say. And he took bronze in the 35 to 39 category to Brian Wong. And then Mike Kern and Justin Lasala were in the 45 to 49 category, with Kern taking the silver to Jason Grubb. But I think adaptive needs more coverage. I think age group needs more coverage just because like that's really great. The hardest part is now that they do like age group quarters, age group semis, there's only 10 people per division essentially getting there. And really you're taking out like the biggest issue is like you need some help from other people in the division. Like you can clearly see there's like the top 3 to 4 really, and then there's everyone else. And going from last year was 20 to 10 this year, you're taking away that big like one person that has that home run skill, for instance, when it's like Kern, for instance, really just had like he had a first, a second, a third, a second, a third, a second, and eighth, unfortunately, in the swim event, and then a second, and he took second. Like that's like you need some other help from other people, and I guess like you're not going to see as much parity, just because you only have 10 athletes per. But I think it was great because really you're going to keep seeing a lot of big name athletes like Becca Voigt, took bronze in the 40 to 44 women. China Cho, who is a perennial games athlete on the indie side, won gold with the Mayhem squad, slash Evil Empire. Play the Galactic theme music here.
Mayhem Empire, please.
Okay, that's fine. I will only refer to them as the Galactic Empire. It's like I think it's great, and honestly, for the people at home who are like, "Oh, I just want to do this indie workout," like, no offense, you're not going to go home and do capital. You're not going to go home and do
No way.
the yoke carry to the squat clean front squats, into the deadlifts and the way back. Like, go home and do carrying Karen. It was like 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 wall balls, but before every set you had to carry an odd object, like, or do the skills chipper, or there's a lot of really good workouts that if you look at the age group, I think those are much easier and you don't have to adjust them as much. Because even like the last workout, 30 cal bike, 20 burpee box jump overs at a 40 or a 42 or 36. No, it was a 40 and a 30, and then 10 sandbag cleans to shoulder. Like you can do those most people can probably adjust those workouts, or do very little scaling on those and have a really good time and be like, oh, that's what it takes.
Okay, okay. Now you were talking about getting more coverage for the, age group qualifiers and stuff like that. So I actually asked that about Nick Urankar. So I had him on my podcast, I think it was like 2 years ago, and he won his the age group qualifier. I think it was like for the 35 to 39 group.
Yep.
And he's like, would you want to see older athletes perform compared to, yeah, if you have an opportunity to watch the elite people do it, like where would you go? And obviously I said like I'd probably go to the elite guys, but I don't know how they can incorporate like more coverage for those guys,
Right.
but
Like that's the hard part because like essentially when I forget which event was on the field, they were doing like it was like 20 muscle ups into a sprint like sprint, then it was rest 1 minute, then they had to do another sprint, rest a minute, and another like quick piece and sprint. Like that was going on during the front wall facing handstand push-up workout. So it's like really hard to like there's a time efficiency and all those things coming into play. Like, yeah, it'd be great if they just had like a stream of some kind to be like, hey, here's what it is, because people, for instance, were reaching out to be like, hey, can you cover like this? And I'm like, I'm trying to get as much as I can. I'm sorry if we're missing stuff, but like it's gonna be pretty hard unless like boots on the ground and you're going like.
Yeah.
But it's still cool to see like coaches from other programs, like Jarrett Smith or KJ from Comp Train. You see James Townsend coaching Kevin Hill from TBO out in the 14 to 15-year-old division. He still has an athlete, Tutor Magda. It's cool to see them going back and forth, but it's just, again, like what ends up drawing people in is indie and then team. Let's just be very, very honest about like why people show up to the games and why it is what it is.
Now, I just had an idea. So, do you ever gone to like hockey games or football games where they actually have like the peewees play like during halftime?
Yep.
Why wouldn't like I thought maybe you could put like maybe at least like one age qualifier in between workouts.
Yeah, and it's a logistical nightmare just
Yeah.
for getting the equipment in, because again, like like for instance, the last workout where it was the row, the thrusters, like they didn't even do like 2-1-1, where it was like first two heats of male or female, vice versa, final heat, final heat. They were like 1-2-3 male, 1-2-3 female, and they didn't have to change the floor over, which made it significantly more efficient. Which was I understand drawing in, you want to see everybody in the finals, but it was like, you know what, it was nice to see them just like run through the heats and just see that workout. It's just, again, it's just like, it's a logistical nightmare. If they want to do it, they can. If they choose not to do it, you're like, you can't really say they're not doing the right thing.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, just throwing Hail Marys out there. Hopefully
Yeah.
someone catches it. So, I
Come
mean,
on, Boz. Come on, Boz.
Obviously, like, they get it's a logistical nightmare, like you said before, trying to figure out like how to get people in the seats for the age, group qualifiers. But, you're not really going to get too many unless they have it like in the middle of Vendor Village or something like that. They do a workout there where you have everyone there, and which I would not recommend. But,
They do some of the, what was it, last year I did Grace. They did some of the like foundations and those kinds of things. I think I did Grace for the Out Foundation. I think that, or was it Barbells for Boobs? It was one of them. I had to do Grace. And it was a lot of fun, but it's just like, it's just tough because it's blacktop. It's not even, you're not really giving everybody that, like, it's one of those things. But again, I think they ran it really, really well. And I think the programming across the age group was like very well done across the events, in making sure that you got to make sure you're taking into account like overloading a CNS, but like, hey, everybody swam, everybody got to do the ski workout. That was the similar one across every single division, from indie to age group all the way out to team. Like that was pretty cool. But I think like there was a lot of cool, like nice workouts where it's like, okay, they had some similarities and those kinds of things.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, cool. So now we're going to go next to Hannah Hardy as the coach's experience. So can you talk about like, who you coached and like, what did you do throughout? Because I know I've heard from other people that being a coach for, athletes is like you're getting up like super early in the morning and like super late at night, you're going to bed. So what was your experience with the whole process?
You pretty much hit the nail on the head there. So, I mean, as a coach, I coach CrossFit West Chase. We sent one team through a backfill spot. And from there, as a coach, I mean, they know each other better than I know them. Especially since I competed alongside them throughout the season, but I didn't get to see the ins and outs of the team until late. Pretty much until July, once they got their invite. So from there, it was just, I'm there more so for emotional support and carrying like supplements and bags and snacks and stuff like
The emotional support athlete's a very important role, and you did it great.
Yes.
All 2 times I saw you.
Yeah, probably the max time of maybe like 2 to 3 minutes. But like I feel like that's my bread and butter, and I've learned a lot from my experience this year, and even with my experience from just interacting with my old teammates from now until like last week during the games. So from there, I mean, we're getting up early. Typically you have to check in. Like, luckily it wasn't 2 hours before your event. It was only 90 minutes before your event this time. So they kind of short up the timeline because I think we acted well last year. They kept on bringing that up. Um, the coach's standpoint, we actually had more access. We actually had access to the warm up areas, not only in the Coliseum, but also at North Park. We just had to make sure that we were corralled at the same time as the athletes, and then we could go on over. I will say that at least just like the coaching standpoint out on the floor, especially North Park, they said that we would have a coaching area. And then when they walked us outside, they literally just walked us straight into the spectators. And, like,
That's actually a complaint I heard from a few other coaches. They're like, yeah, you like,
right. Like, they actually, so like, we walk out into the media lane. I'm like, cool, we get to go into the media lane. It's, it's a huge field. There's only 20 of us max on the floor or, in the lane at a time. I don't understand why we can't be there. But, I feel bad for Kristen Holta walking out beside me into the spectator area. And I'm like, she's one of like the goats of CrossFit. And you're just going to send her out?
yep. They're like, but yeah, it's just tough, right? Because like the nice, like media wise, it's like, so if you're looking at North Park and you're looking at Zeus Rig, that left-hand side all last year, we never even had coverage of that side. Like, you couldn't see anything on it. So it was nice to get that back, but it's like, I can't even imagine where, like, would you walk coaches over to the Madison Club and, like, put them in that corral behind the photographers and you still aren't good? Like, it's one of those awful, like, try to give them access, but what do you do? Like, I thought coaches access, because when I was shooting on inside, like, where the coaches, like, were you able, when you went into the Coliseum, did they give you those seats on the left-hand side by the finish line? Okay.
Yeah. So at least in like the Coliseum, I mean, we had access and just got to sit. To me, I have no clue. Like, I mean, in a coach's role, we want to help, but CrossFit's one of those things that unless it's what it was at the 2020 games, your coach can't help you in the moment. It's more so, okay, you did the work, but we can't give them advice like on the floor or yell it at them. I was trying to yell timestamps for the team in the first workout because at least it was Wednesday. It wasn't like there was a lot of people there, but they couldn't hear me. So like from that point on, I was like, okay, well, it's on them. And, we can prepare for this workout how much we can just from a strategy standpoint, but it's on the four of them to communicate on the floor and figure things out. I mean, luckily, they have each other, but I mean, if the individuals even want input from their coach, yeah, they're not getting that. So maybe like in years to come, we can get more and more access to, they actually see us. We can actually yell something if they're in trouble and they're like, I don't know.
Just walk out onto the floor with your athletes.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but just like a little bit here and there so that they like can actually like they can stare at you and you can either put up a sign or yell really loud. Just something. So, but I think it's going in the right direction. Justin Berg actually talked to us at the beginning of the week saying that he realizes that our access has been very minimal for several years. I mean, pretty much every single year. So he's, I think, really open to giving us more and more access. But I think it's kind of like toying with things, being like, okay, we're going to give them a little bit of access here, see what happens. Okay, that went well. Let's give them a little bit more access. And as long as coaches don't abuse the system, I mean, I think we're going to actually get more and more rights as a coach.
They're gonna abuse the system.
Hey Hannah, can I ask you a quick question behind the scenes?
Sure.
Did you have to take the coaches or the judges course before you got your coaches band?
I had to tell them that I took the judges course, which they found online.
Okay. Because that's what I thought. Because a lot of coaches every coach had to do it. So I just wanted to make sure, because it kind of goes back to what Tom was saying about like how coaches in the past had abused it. I There could be a trend being created of, are we trying to professionalize the coaching side a little bit more to make sure that we actually have real coaches back there and not like the fanboy.
Right. No, like I mean, I like they made sure I took the judges course. They like we like had a sign, like we read our handbook. We had a sign that we read it. Because they had like a few more things in it that weren't in the athlete one. So, and we had access to both. So, I mean, I think, like I said, we're going in the right direction. But right now it just seems that, they're just taking their time, because there will be coaches that abuse the system, and then, we'll have some of our rights taken away, and then we'll have to earn them back again.
Now, I'm just since I've never been there before, I'm just kind of talking as, kind of like a fly on the wall, you could say. I don't know. But like, could you use like a whiteboard at all and like, write the times or like write everything up and like stick it up? Would they be able to see it, or like you are way too far away for them to even have that happen?
I mean, it depends on like where you could get. I mean, throughout the weekend, they probably wouldn't see you in the Coliseum because you're actually in the
No.
stand.
Yeah.
But a North Park, it just depended on if you could actually get area around the fence and where they were on the field. If you're by the start line and they're all the way by the finish line, of course they're not going to see it. But
Mhm.
if they were by the start line and the Zeus rig, as long as you had like really large words, they could probably read it.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So all in all, with your experience of you being a coach, was it the first time you being a coach at the games?
No,
Or
this is actually my second time.
Okay. Was it better this year than the last time you did it?
I believe so. Like I said, we got a lot more access this year than last year. But I mean, also in a sense, I coached a master's athlete my first time. So, and it was when instead of having a spectator workout area, or at least having the whole building being a
Mhm.
spectator area, it was actually the age group pavilion. So that's where all the age group workouts were. So we had a little bit different of like a time and access. And since there weren't that many people watching, I mean, they could definitely hear you. So I liked it this year. It was really fun. I thought the coaches really like, gathered around each other, especially if we were in the same heat for most of the weekend. Like I got to talk to Kristen Holta like throughout the weekend, which was really cool. And just and reconnect with like some other coaches that I've met throughout the years. So I thought that was a really cool experience that I think was not shown in years past. There's actually like a coach's relationship.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Awesome. Now we're gonna go for the first year CrossFit Games. Vic, so how was your experience being the first time have you ever been to the CrossFit Games?
It was a mind trip, actually. I was not expecting Madison, Wisconsin to be so vibrant. I also wasn't expecting the Coliseum to be so electric. And time again, I was surprised. So I spent a lot of time going back and forth from Big Dane over to the arena because I was also doing stuff. Like I said, I was working the podium. So we had a booth set up. We were sampling and all that. And that was great. Met a lot of cool people. A lot of people were very excited about the product. So that's awesome. But more or less like coordinating, getting back and forth was relatively easy. Traffic wasn't too crazy. The only time traffic was really bad was getting out at the end of some of those like last events. But honestly, it was so worth it because you walk out of that Coliseum so jacked up, like on like just energy that you're like, okay, so we're waiting. Who cares?
Victor
Like,
was all hyped up on Mountain Dew. He was like a spider monkey.
No, man, he's doming podium. He's doming podium.
What are you talking about? I probably had so many Monster Hydros and that I'm still riding on caffeine right
Monster Blanco is my way of life at these things, okay?
is that the one with tequila in it?
Yeah, he just has like a backpack filled with like podium
Podium
pre-workout, and just
popsicle,
and he
podium
just
lemonade,
he's like literally
podium
just yeah,
watermelon, podium mango fuse, light the fuse.
yeah, double scoop, and every time, every three
Dry scoops
hours.
only.
Yep,
Thanks,
dry
Dex.
scoop.
Yeah, I was hopped up pretty bad. But oh man, just you get down into Coliseum or you're at North Park and you're watching some of these events and you're just excited. And everyone around you is excited. It's just like, oh, these are all my people. This is very similar to like going to a semifinals event and realizing that there's a group of people that like love this shit. Like they absolutely die for it. And so when they're looking at these heats, talking about strategy, talking about who they think is going to win, making quick little bets is totally normal. Um, it's the community is undefeated. Let's just put it that way. This
When
community does
did
not
I
lose.
see you, by the way? Was that Friday or Saturday night that you were right behind me?
Um,
It all blends together, honestly.
you were
So
there for it was Echo Press
that's
that I was
probably.
behind you.
I didn't think it was
And
the
then
sandbag event.
also no, because I was there for the Sandbag event, but I didn't see. Actually, no, you might have been there too. I went back 2 days in a row because you were with Jared and Kiefer
Yeah, I was with Jared Kiefer, Kyra, and
Presley. Presley,
Presley,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
Lauren, and pretty much all like the press section because that's where the only place I could get. But the worst was like
yeah,
half the time Paige and Caroline were in lane 10 and we could never see them.
yeah. Seriously, that was a pain. Um, but yeah, I saw you then, and but like I was also like one of the first. What was the event after the rain delay?
Was it the team event or was it the
No, it was
indoor event? Oh, it was the Elizabeth event, the 21-15-999.
yes, yes, and I was watching that like at the top of the arena just because I was like, oh, let's go up here. It's the only spot one of the other volunteers was watching at, and we were just like both like, this is absolutely amazing. Like this is like I'm like, oh, this is my first time, and they're just like, yeah, I've been here like 3 times, but every time I watch an event, I always get goosebumps and I always get butterflies, and this is always just such an amazing feeling, and I'm like, okay, so this isn't unnatural for us to feel this way. It's just what a lot of us CrossFit fans are like when it comes to watching the best perform. So it was really cool. Um, Vendor Village was wild. Um, just it was just like packed in sardines. It was just a lot of stimulation. Where you're just like you kind of can't take it all in all at once. You got to take Vendor Village in blocks. You can't go through and try and actually pay attention to every single product and brand that's there. It just doesn't work. Um,
Do you think they're gonna expand it next year? Vendor Village? No.
I can't.
um,
It was bigger than last year's. Like Vendor Village had more vendors there than what it was last year, which was a great thing.
I heard the opposite. I heard that less people signed up, but I don't know because it was my first time. So I'm like, what do I know? Um,
So I heard the same thing because I think the CrossFit Games, they had realized, honestly, it's from a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense from partnering with the local affiliates and doing the CrossFit Connex activations with like Tier, Decacomp, Comp Train, and Underdog, and then whatever, and then Podium was at Great Dane.
I was Go Wad and HWPO.
GoWad and HWPO were out there. Like those things make a lot of sense because it brings people out to the affiliates. It's cheaper than having to do stuff inside. But then I also had heard that the games was like realized what was going on and they were like, okay, we'll just lower the prices like to get people back inside.
Yeah, that works.
Like lower the prices for vendors. Oh, okay. So I thought it was just as expensive as it was, but they dropped the price for the vendors to get them in. Okay,
Last
nice.
minute though, so they realized what was going on. But again, this is all hearsay. So it's like could be, but hopefully like it keeps growing, and I think they're doing. But last year's the last year in Madison, so
I mean, they did it ended up being the right thing. So it ended up making the experience better, which is cool. So no complaints there. A lot of well, it was really hot. That was the other thing. And being the first time, I was like, damn, this is hot. You stand, you just sweating. You're sweating through shirts, you're sweating through socks, shorts, everything. It was it was moist.
It was real thick. It was real damp in that air out there.
Yeah.
Was it Saturday when it was super humid and that was like one of the worst days when you just like stepped outside and you're just like, oh,
It was hot. It was hot everywhere. Even in Massachusetts when I was at, like, my mom was just like, we gotta hit shade. Like, this is too much. Like, I don't. And like, it's funny thing is, well, backstory. So a lot of the houses there don't have like central air. They have like wall mounted AC units. And so, like, literally, I was like sleeping over my sister's house. She has like three AC units, wall mounted AC units, and it's still not doing anything. So that's how hot it was this weekend.
gosh. Yeah.
I don't know. I think, well, Saturday, I felt the sun more. I mean, I remember I was just like rotating throughout like the workouts in North Park because I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this area burned and then this area burned in the next 5 minutes. You guys
Wait,
don't know
what-
what heat is though. I mean,
Was
Thursday
that
when
Friday or Saturday?
Thursday, do you guys remember being at North Park for the indie event? Like it was like it was the sprint shoulder to overhead workout.
yeah.
I was cooked, and that was the only real event like to be out there for outside of age group. And I was just like, I had a few photographer friends just be like text me like, "Hey, can you bring me water?" I was like, "Yeah." Like the shout out, like no free shout outs, but Yeti, thank you guys for the water stations, because those things were a lifesaver.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw. Did I see Hannah? Did I see you? Was it Friday? It was during the jerk and the multi-mile, the rope mile run.
You probably did see me.
It was
Like you
yeah.
probably saw me like right after that event because that was a really good event for us.
It all blends together. Let's be real honest, guys. It all
I know.
really just.
Yeah.
I literally thought it was Friday every single day,
Yeah, that was
except for
that
Sunday
was
when we didn't compete.
losing track of time was very easy to do. I mean, even still today, I didn't realize that it was Wednesday until I looked at the invite. I'm like, oh, it's Wednesday. Like, huh, cool.
So, with you working at the podium booth at Great Dane, how was that atmosphere?
Oh, everyone was super excited. Not because of podium. I mean, yes, because of podium, but primarily just so GoWad basically bought out the gym for the week. And they ran a bunch of workouts, did a boatload of mobility that all these CrossFitters skip. Then HWPO did some really cool, yeah, raise your hand, it's you. And then HWPO did some really cool classes. They did sweat. They did a couple of flagship stuff. They also brought in some of their newest coaches. So Amy Two Cents, as everyone knows her, is joining HWPO, and she did a couple lifting sessions there. And then they brought in Rob Kearney to talk about some of the strength stuff, strongman stuff he's doing with HWPO. It was just fun. People were just excited. We had the pancake breakfast for Sammy's birthday. There was a barbecue that they did the night before, and just everyone, there was always something for people to do, and everyone was just very happy. I think even Scott Panchek came down to do a workout. Street Horner was there at some point. Yeah, a lot of different people, a lot of faces, and honestly, that's what all the fans wanted. They wanted to meet everyone. They wanted to see the stars. They wanted to get their picture taken. So as soon as they saw that, Katrin was there,
The team athlete. Oh wait, I shouldn't say
everybody came out. I was like, oh my God, Katrin. And as soon as they saw Matt, oh my God, Matt. It was just, it's so crazy to see everyone just swarm like teenagers watching Justin Bieber. It's just, that was I was just like, and I get it. but it's like, all right, we're getting a little crazy here. Y'all just worked out. You really want to say hi to them when you're dead, sweaty, and gross?
Yes.
Like that's the impression you want to leave with them. Like, can I have your picture? Yeah. Smile. Uh-huh. Like I just didn't really understand some people's train of thought there.
Well, I've done that before, so I ain't gonna lie. Like when I went to Travis Mayer's gym, I was like in a complete sweaty mess, and I was like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" And he literally had my hand on top, like he literally had his arm around my shoulder, like just completely soaked. And I was like, "That's, I mean, you don't have to do that. You could sit next to me." And he's like, "Oh, it's all good. I'm gonna be working out anyway." And I'm like, "Okay." So you can actually see it on my Instagram feed. It's like way down there, but yeah, it's way down there, but you could definitely see it. So yeah, he seemed
Just
very
repost,
happy. Yeah.
just repost it on your story and be like, "Thanks, Travis," or
Yeah.
Trevor. Say thanks, Trevor.
So, speaking about Street Horner, now I heard a little
What
birdie
would you like to
talking.
know?
I heard the only reason why he was on the demo team was because of the parallettes from like the L sit to the handstand walk. So I don't is it have you heard the same thing, guys?
No. I know
No.
a demo team member had potentially tested positive for COVID and then actually ended up testing negative very quickly after. So that's why Street Horner got the invite.
Oh, okay. All right. Because
I'm not
that's
going to say which demo team member, but I may have ran into them while they were at the event eating some lunch, and we had a great conversation.
all
Yeah,
right. All right. Okay. Well, we'll talk later about that. So,
yeah, we
um,
can keep that offline.
yeah. So with everyone's experience, what are what are the things you've kind of taken away from, like, what are the best moments have you seen at the CrossFit Games this year?
Sandbag. The sandbag event was by far so.
They baited us so good on that.
I was
Every
so
single fan got baited on that, and I
yeah.
loved it.
I was at the gym before I went over there, and so Sam Briggs was like, "Oh, they just announced the event," and she showed me what it was. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool," because she's coaching, and I was like, "This is gonna be a little weird." I'm like, "Wait. Are you saying max sandbag like just toss over?" And she was like, "No, it's sandbag to shoulder," and I was like, "That's the heavy lift." I'm like, "This is it. This is the one." And I was like, "Oh, that seems a little simple." And I'm like, "Wait a second." In the semis, they had a couple events where they were doing sandbag to shoulders at like 150 or 200, and people were dying. And I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be so good." Uh, I mean, the first section, the women's sandbag was a little bit slower than it needed to be. It could have ran a little bit faster. The men's, they sped it up a little bit, which was nice. So they kind of got the logistics down for the men's heats more so than they did for the women's. I felt like some of the women's like rounds lagged.
You want to know why?
Why?
So essentially, they said the standard was you had actually could take as many as 3 attempts. I know this because I was talking to the coaches who were like I had gotten some info, but they essentially just like let them take as long as they wanted. Like that's more or less. But the guys, like, I don't think they were prepared for the guys to be able to move the sandbags as well as they were.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why we got to the 350.
Okay.
All right. I remember back in the day, it was on a Craig Ritchie video that what was it? Jacob Hepner had a 330-pound sandbag and cleaned it.
So I was shooting and I was right behind Matthew Bickle. I don't know if you guys know who Matthew Bickle is, but he's a very strong former NFL player, and he has sandbags. And he was telling us like he had mentioned like he had trained with Danny Spiegel, and he was like, just watch Danny win, just like which is what happened. Which was really good calling your shot. Unlike my top 5 like predictions, which was an absolute train wreck, by the way. And then it was like he had said Sam Dancer had picked up the 325. I think he said he had him all the way like 25-pound increments. He said he got the 325. he had gotten the 350 to his waist, but Sam wasn't able to stand it up, and he was like, he was like, I'd be impressed if anyone got the 350.
Damn. Yeah. That was crazy. But I did post something on my Instagram stories. It was like a meme of I forget who it was. Someone was like cleaning the sandbag. No, they're bringing the 350-pound sandbag out with like the wheelbarrow, and everyone was like losing their shit. Then you see Joe Rogan and that other guy like leaning back like, wow, wow, wow,
Yeah.
this is happening.
happening
This
now.
is happening.
Oh God, I like love that event, but I'm gonna call it right now. Trex Paulson didn't have control of half of his reps and should have been out of that workout way earlier than he was.
Oh yes.
Just so we're clear, I've seen videos from numerous photographers and videographers, and it's just absolutely egregious that they let Trex Paulson bullied his judge into a rep.
Yes.
His
saw
judge
that
said
too,
no,
right?
Trex
Okay.
said yes, and the judge said like changed his mind, and I was like, what are we doing?
His legs weren't fully locked out at the top of the sandbag, and he was shaking, and he looked at him. He's like, "That's good," and he threw it down. And he's like, "Yeah," and he like walked off, and they kept him going. I was like, I feel like homeboy's legs weren't all the way locked out, but he's celebrating. I was like, is this akin to the same people that celebrate when they get third place, like they beat everyone? Like, I just don't get that. I was okay, cool. So I wasn't crazy.
No. Like there was, I think everything from 310. When did he get knocked out? 340.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
340.
so he
But
should have
was
been out
throwing like
around
280.
three. Yeah, exactly. He should have been out significantly earlier.
Okay.
Were there other people losing the standards?
No, it didn't. Like, if we're gonna get into the standards, that would probably be like. I thought the programming overall of the entire weekend was great. I think some of the standards were the question marks. Like
There was-
the what was it, the double under crisscross applesauce event when they were just giving out reps just for like attempting it.
Yeah, when no one else could finish the whole like the third one at all.
Yeah, I thought it was cool seeing strict peg boards and all that stuff. It like would have been a little bit like that was kind of upsetting, but like the female side was like not as good, and they ended up giving like what was it? I think Danielle Brandon protested and got some points back. But the guy side, just watching like the was it L sit to handstand to over was pretty cool. You could definitely tell Boz made his mark on the games.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking about the standard. So the sandbag standard, it felt like some people weren't standing all the way up, like you're saying, like T-Rex Paulson. But also the parallel bars, traversing past that line, there was a few athletes that were basically getting over and then basically still had their hand on the tape while they were doing their dips. And it's just kind of like, hey, like there are athletes who are taking an actual break between the next traverse because they know that if they don't make it all the way across and they get their dips and they don't do their dips, that they have to redo it. And there were people that were really skirting the lines. I was seeing some people, I don't know if this was legal, but I definitely saw some people basically putting their ass on the bar as they were traversing through to like almost like rest. And nothing was said. And I'm not sure if anyone else saw that.
I didn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if people like once you got to the nines round, like that's when people like died. So
Yeah.
But that was cool to see that. It's just again, it's like I think that like was it Austin Spencer, Laza Jukic got like the employee of the month judge and just like didn't really matter. Like just their noses were on the ground and they just couldn't get reps, and it's like, sir, their face can't go lower. These are not superheroes. Like these guys don't have the ability to do it, and then they couldn't, like they complained and then nothing happened, but they pulled that judge off the floor. It's like it's essentially an indictment of what happened. Like, come on, guys. Like, again, it's one of those tough things where it's like if the males are judged to a standard of your whole head has to be past the line and the females are half a head, it's like how about we just end up doing whole head? You just lessen the reps. But again,
I definitely saw some questionable wall walk ascents. And I also, if I remember correctly, Roman was the genius on the first set to cartwheel up to the wall. And then they basically told him, "Hey, no, you can't do that next time. You got to go on the wall." I'm like,
That was like you couldn't do that in the standard.
and it's like, okay, so he did it, and he ripped off like 5 unbroken handstand push-ups, and I'm pretty sure they counted those handstand push-ups. And I was just like, and then they told him, no, go here, go here. And so he finally did it again. Then you saw his pace kind of slow down, and I was like, now hold on a second.
I'm not a proponent of GW051516, but if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah.
Like that's competing. Like you gotta kind of make sure somebody enforces a standard and see what your judge will or will not.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
it was fun. I mean, like, listen, I'm proud that Roman was there and he did a good job. But I was just like, I was looking at him like, how is this? How is some of this stuff like even? And there was definitely some handstand push-ups I saw on in both heats, male and female heats, that were counted, that were, how do I put this? Suspect. In terms of watching the standards of other athletes follow the standard to a T and get, start getting taxed. And you're seeing these other people, oh, they're just ripping through. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not doing the full rep, but you're counting it. And I'm counting. I'm like, that's not a full rep. That's not full rep. Like, for me, it's not up to me to say what's a rep. It's the judge and whatnot. Okay, so they got away with it. But it just kind of hurts to see other athletes do what they're supposed to and then end up losing points because
So to that point, I'm gonna give a big shout out to a friend of the program. Caroline Connor's taking a 4th place on that workout. Let's just applaud the fact that she went out, balled out. Heat 1 took a 4th place and just absolutely set the standard for every of the top 3 females that really came out of really only the final heat because she executed it perfectly.
Mm-hmm. I honestly thought she should have won that event. I thought that with how she did, I'm like, that's a winning score. And I was just like, handstand push-ups, Caroline, that's her jam. That's her to a T.
Well, how tall is she? She's not that tall. So
5'1" on a tall day.
yeah, exactly. So that's gonna be like stupid easy for her compared to me. It's gonna take like a hot minute just to even get to the top of the position.
And my thing was I wish it didn't rain on Sunday morning so we could have seen the legless rope climb.
Yes.
Because did you guys hear about what the standard was supposed to be?
It's supposed to be a legless descent.
L-sit legless descent.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Spiegel wholeheartedly would never have won that event.
Oh no, she said it on an interview. She
That was
like,
the best part. She admitted it. It's I definitely wouldn't have, but I love this. It's okay. But I still think Mal O'Brien probably still would have finished where she was because it wasn't really I think her rope climb capacities there just would have really made that event way more terrible for everybody.
It would have been longer. It wouldn't have been such a sprint.
well,
Yeah,
I mean, they had an 18-minute time cap, so it was supposed to be a long event.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be. We're supposed to see 10-minute finishes, 11-minute. That's what we were seeing. What we were supposed to see, but that basically cut the workout in half.
Yeah, but again, they adjusted that for safety. Being out there, definitely the right call. Thank you, HQ. But it's one of those things where it's man, Boz is holding that in his back pocket for next year, right? For a fact, if you ignore training that, you are completely missing the mark.
I can't wait to see some of this stuff pop up in quarterfinals.
It won't.
No.
Well, not something that serious, but I'm sure there's going to be some other iteration within quarterfinals that's going to be more gymnastic focused.
I would disagree. What you could see is a legless rope climb. But again, that's also based on the video and the angle, and I still think they completely we're better pressed to see shuttle runs again in quarters.
Yeah.
And see people actually run that standard back than them completely you'd see
You can
something
see
legless
step
at
up for the
semis.
wall walk.
Yeah, I could see parallel bars at semis.
Yeah.
I just think it's gonna be I don't think we're ever gonna see like we could see maybe 11-foot wall balls for guys at quarters or 12
Deficit
foot.
wall walks probably.
Maybe we
I don't
could
know.
definitely see the wall facing handstand push up without a deficit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I was excited to see that they actually finally did same leg pistols instead of alternating. That was cool. I remember hearing that a few years ago, where there was like, we still haven't seen single leg pistols on the same leg for like a set of 10 and then switch, because I honestly think that alternating pistols are easier once you get into a rhythm, and then doing the same leg over and over. I mean, it all depends who you are as an athlete. I feel like I wouldn't
You
mind.
can see it on both sides because there was
Yeah.
clearly the people that were just like repping out same leg, but you know if they had to alternate, they wouldn't have had the balance. And then there was it was it Roman who's like was doing these S style like pistol squats that looked like he was shrimping the whole time? There was somebody who did like this weird like scoop, and I was just like, that just looks painful.
I have seen that before. I remember what was it? It was the trial finals. The one year they didn't do Waterpalooza during COVID, they had like an online qualifier, that an online competition that they streamed the top scores at the same time or something like that. And there was people doing these pistols that they were like this like weird cupping, like scooping motion with the other leg. And I just, that just doesn't look natural to me.
Yeah. So, Hannah, what do you think about the games, and what do you think they might be able to like improve on or anything like that?
I really like the games this year. I feel like we've all heard that we've progressed in weightlifting and we've progressed in like all the monostructural work. So, it was about time that gymnastics were tested. We saw a little bit last year with the freestanding handstand push-up, but I thought this was really cool. It was out of the box. The games are supposed to be like that.
Mhm.
I think some of the things could have been released early, like in 20 whatever year they did the crit. They said, "Hey, we're doing this." And you had clip in pedals. I think that was being like, "Hey, you should probably learn how to ride a bike with clip in pedals." I think from the crossover double unders, even the ballistic block handstand push-up, showing those a week in advance, at least giving the athletes time to do them so they're not embarrassed. Like I felt super bad for the girls in the final heat of the crossover workout. Like,
Oh, I
like
thought you were gonna say you felt bad for Rebecca Fuselier not being able to row 340.
dude, I felt okay, don't get me wrong, I love the CrossFit community, but do you hate when people come up to you when you're dead last and are cheering you on and they finish the workout minutes before you? That happened
Yes.
multiple times to her.
That happened all on day three. Her day
I-
three was quite possibly the most disastrous day three somebody's ever had in the history of the CrossFit Games.
But she made it, which is awesome. Like I'm
Yeah.
so proud of her for even making that. My heart just broke for her. I was like, I know how you feel right now. And I just hope that you're just like talking in your head, being like, hey, these are all good things. They just want you to finish. Anyway, I think just some of the ones that could be questionable are super far out of the box. Like I didn't think the parallel bars were, super far out there, but just making sure like, hey, like maybe you should practice these while facing handstands, just throwing hints here and there. With the crossover double under, I know that, the owner of RX Smart Gear went and, practiced them with Laura and Danny towards like the beginning of July. So, or sometime this summer. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like, okay, like that's cool. Like they knew how to do it and rep it out. And people are just like, oh, like I could learn that in 5 minutes. Yo, I tried for like 30 minutes today. I got like one.
Well, it's better than triple unders.
Yeah. Well, you know what kind of jump rope you need? You need one of those like
You need the beaded rope or
yeah,
a
you,
little
or the
heavier.
yeah, or the gummy rope. You know, like the ones that you see like the, straight color all the way through and it's kind of see-through. Like
Yeah.
those are the ones you need for those kind of workouts.
Yeah. And it's just like you saw Guy like break out two ropes and like he was prepared for them.
Somebody
Um
used one of those old style gym class ropes for the single
Yeah, the
unders.
beaded
Like the
ropes.
beaded, I was like, this is
yeah, no,
dope.
I'm pretty sure it's Guy because Guy had a beaded rope with him. But there's just like those little things that I think the games like they can it's still a test of the unknown and unknowable.
Mhm.
But you're at least giving them a little bit of a heads up. So when people go back and watch this on YouTube, or like say this was one of the events that was broadcasted on CBS Sports, I mean, it was kind of like the freestanding handstand push up. People are like, oh, why can't they do that? That's dumb. Like, you don't want that. So it's, I think CrossFit could better prepare the athletes. And at the same time, that's better preparing judges or sometimes the athletes can be like, hey, like, I think that the line is a questionable standard. Just having these conversations. Like, I know that I understand like where they're coming from for the handstand push-up, but it was very hard on the judge. It also, I mean, you don't see the line when you attempt the handstand push-up. So you just hope the judge says good. And and I don't think it should be up to the judge. Like it's okay if you have some tactile thing to touch. Uh so just playing around with that. There could have been those conversations if we knew in advance about some of these movements. Um and it would put less pressure on the judges. People wouldn't get as mad. People don't blame them or having uneven standards. So overall, I love this games. I love to see where this goes in the future. And I think this is what CrossFit needed. So if we actually go out and play with movements and have fun and just express our fitness in different ways outside of, a 21-15-9.
Yeah, I can't wait for like everyone posting about like the double under crossover workout, just to kind of, because I know someone's gonna like whack their shins or like whack their arms and they're gonna be like ouch, but like laugh at it. So I just can't
Yeah.
wait to see that fun moment and kind of see how everyone else does.
No, that was me today. That was me this morning. And then the block handstand push up, I figured out that. I mean, fun fact, I tried it in the warm up area because the girls like needed help and I just like literally like fell flat on like my back, like just tipping off the wall.
It's
So
fun.
it's like it's just like things like that are like it's super cool. It's super interesting. I love where it's going. I think there just could be more communication, especially if it's going to be a movement that could potentially have some either like judging mishaps or just the athletes need time to work on the skill. And I love being able to adapt. Like with the parallel bars, we can adapt. With carrying the Husafell stone up or sandbag up the steps, we can adapt. There's just some things that unless you were like in that you have that background in gymnastics or strongman or weightlifting or whatnot, like it's like people are going to be at a major disadvantage and it could be embarrassing for the sport more so than growing it.
You know what? Now that you mention all this, something just kind of came to mind to me. Is this the first CrossFit Games that we haven't seen a weighted vest or a go ruck bag? I mean, some sort of like,
In a couple years before we ever like put them out there, like
I know
what
go
is
ruck
it?
is new, but
Yeah, but what was it? Before we did Murph in what was it? The
15.
Murph was 14.
16.
No, 14 was everybody passed out. 15 was the redo we did in the morning.
Mhm.
Never
No, I
forget.
think it was 15, 16.
Wait. Oh, you're right. You're right. It was 15, 16.
But I feel
Yeah,
like
because Kara got injured, shoulder injury. It was shoulder injury, then it was passing out, and then it was that's what it was.
so.
So,
Yeah,
like, really, it's 14. Let me go look at the workouts. Now we're all trying to. It's been a while since we've seen a.
You should have been prepared, sir.
Well, there was a weighted vest. There was
Last
weighted
year.
vest last year, was there not?
No, I don't think there's a
I
weighted
don't think
vest
there
last
was.
year. No, there wasn't a weighted vest last year.
No, they had the go. They didn't they have the muscle ups with the Go Ruck last
That
Isn't
was
that
Wada-
Wadapalooza?
that was Wadapalooza.
Oh, that was
Wadapalooza in
Waterfalls. That's
2020.
right. Yeah, that's right.
No, they didn't have one last year. The last time was Atlanta.
Okay, and that was 2020.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the COVID games.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The COVID games. I don't know when these-
What? Matt Frazier's AAU championship still is more respectable than LeBron James.
Oh man. All right. Well, I kind of want to get everyone's final thoughts on everything. Obviously, like who we predicted to win the games in like the 1 through 5 is just an absolute shit show for all of us.
Hey, I think we all got the number one
Yes.
on the women's side. I think
Yes.
we all got it. I can guarantee we got 1 point.
Yes.
Great job.
Actually,
And I-
before I want to talk about that, so Noah Olsen won Spirit of the Games.
Please change the trophy.
So yes, yeah. First of all, with that, is that a trophy that someone like that a CrossFit athlete would want to get? To be honest with you,
If you were looking for an Adam and Eve sponsorship, thank you. Make Wads great again. Yes, then yes.
No, I love the premise. I mean, do you think it's a bad thing if they get that award?
No, I think the award looks weird. It used to be like
yeah.
a box
No,
of
it
rings.
used to be the ring,
a box
yeah.
of like a box of gymnastic ring, which was cooler. And then who got Rookie of the Year? Was it Roman? I never saw that award.
No, he didn't. No.
It was Matthew
No,
and
Nick
Emma
Matthews.
Lawson. They did 2 this year because Nick just came out of nowhere, and I love the dude. He's a part of my
Oh,
build.
so I got it right. I got 1/2 of my Rookie of the Year right.
I got mine. I got Emma Lawson.
Oh, I was so close with Alexis. Man, she was just 2
You
spots
were
back.
close.
How did Roman Krennikov did not get Rookie of the Year?
Because he participated in the 2020 stage
Stage
1.
1. Yeah. So they gave him
Oh,
most improved or something. They said most
Yeah, they
improved.
is most improved.
okay. All right, never mind then.
I got my female right though. I got Tia, and then I had Mal, then I had Danielle Brandon, then Haley Adams, who still my hot take from last time stands. So have fun for another year. 5, Cara Saunders. But my male side is just completely just befuddled. It was Medeiros, Olsen, Vellner, Adler, Gerard.
Yeah,
Very
no,
wrong.
I'm-
Very wrong.
Adler still got 5th, right? Was Adler 5th?
I'm checking. Please hold. Please hold.
Yeah, mine was a completed mess, and I wish I knew about Roman Krennikov about like 2020, like doing the.
Nobody for
He
like.
won the 1,000 meter row.
Yeah, Jeff Adler got 5th.
Yep.
So it was Justin, Roman, Ricky,
Sam
Sam.
Quant.
Sam Quant, and then Adler.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do our final thoughts. So, Xander, you go first.
Here's my take. I think Matt Frazier is trending to be the Mike Ditka of CrossFit. He's going to be the only person to win a championship as a athlete, then as a coach, and like do it that way without ever going on a team.
Okay.
But honestly, it was probably a very well done year for the first time without the original programmer of the games and just seeing it there. And just gonna see how it evolves over the next couple years. I'm excited for 2024 when we get a new venue.
Okay. All right, Hannah, you're up.
I think this game's really set us up for a new CrossFit era. Adrian Bosman, it's like this was such a masterful programming. I loved it. I loved just like how out of the box it was, or not even out of the box, but returning to what CrossFit was when it started. And this was something where if you're a CrossFit nerd and went back into journal articles, stuff like that, like these things pop up. So don't be surprised that there's so much more things coming down the pipeline that are from the early days. So I'm really excited for what's to come.
All right, Vic, you're up.
I mean, I think I want to echo some of those same sentiments. I mean, the Jerry bag. I mean, that itself just reminds me of One Trip or Die. It's the grocery bags. There are so many things that were more realistic to the practical applications of CrossFit and some of like its roots that hell, we might be heading back towards, this whole conversation of, oh, CrossFit doesn't know who they are. What's their identity? They have an identity crisis. Well, I think the programming is kind of speaking for itself and saying, hey, we're getting back to it. We heard you. Now you're going to have to listen to us and go back in, like you said, back into our articles and really start digging. I agree with Xander, with Matt Frazier and HWPO. I think they're putting together some really great stuff, but we also have, I think that this next year, I'm going to be super excited to see some of the misfits compete again. I'm thinking Luca. I'm talking Paige.
You're really
the
overlooking
guys
Rogue
there.
because there's potential that Paige is going to get an invite to Rogue.
There's
Don't
all, well,
forget.
yes, but I'm thinking, I'm looking at it as from the overall perspective of like, hey, like let's put a stamp on something here. Some of these major training programs, I mean, people haven't been giving a lot of like respect to some of them, including Misfit, and I think they need to really look back and say, hey,
No.
They're here. Caroline, Austin, Paige, they're there, and they're not going anywhere. There's just a few tweaks now in this upcoming season, and I really think there's a bigger push for other athletes, and it's only going to make the sport better. So,
All right. All right. My final thought, Hannah kind of stole the thunder that I believe this is going to be a new regime of CrossFit athletes coming in because you literally had a 17-year-old be in first place, and you've never seen that in the CrossFit Games ever, and which is insane to think of a 17-year-old actually, in that top spot for a little bit. It's unreal. So I think these new people coming in are just going to absolutely destroy everyone else. And I think I don't know if T is going to retire this year, but I have a feeling that like she's kind of looking at all the rest of the kids coming up, and I could say kids because I'm 42. So all the kids coming up, and
You can say kids because you have kids, not
Look,
because you're 42.
true. I'm a dad. Okay, so I think these kids are going to be unreal. So that's my final thought, and I have one last question for everyone. So where's the new venue going to be for next year?
Well,
It's not
no,
next.
next year is Madison.
Oh,
It's
my,
2
sorry,
years.
in 2 years. Sorry.
So I put it on my story as the prediction. I was like, if we stay in the U.S., I think Rochester, New York, because of weather and access for everything that they need, would be a good place, or Frankfurt, Germany.
Oh, Rochester's not a bad spot. DeBella's subs are delicious.
I put
Sorry.
a lot of effort into thinking of that because I was like, anything south of the Mason-Dixon line is too hot. Like Austin, Texas, they toured, like Dave did at least, or they went to Jacksonville and Austin. And I was like, logistically, Austin's a nightmare and too expensive. And Rogue already claimed it for the fall, which I think pretty much keeps it out of there. But I really do think like it would end up being a European country of some kind.
I mean, I honestly would think that if they could do it somewhere, Seattle could be another good spot.
Oh, I was just thinking of that.
He said it first, so you have to pick something else.
Yeah, no.
There you go. No, yeah, I think Seattle's a really cool place too, and not overly expensive. However, don't, I don't know if it, I don't know if it has the infrastructure to support that type. I mean, they have the Seahawks when they show up in town. So yeah, you know what? No, Seattle can do it. They can do it because they have a big enough arena. They have the ability to, they have the parking for it. People will be fine. Maybe not the RVs, but oh well.
All right, Hannah, what do you think?
Oh man. I don't have like a specific city. I just I know. I haven't done my research. In a sense, I wouldn't be surprised if it moved to a European country because just seeing what they brought to semifinals is just so much greater than what anything in the US have done. I mean, I think if you want people in the stands, like it would be the best move. And there's so much, and especially if you want to have these cool outside events and actually get back to open water, um, and like really just like be a part of the culture, like you can do that in Europe way better than America. So I think I think Germany would be freaking dope and awesome. So I think like one of those countries would be perfect.
Okay. Well, I'll say this. So I was thinking Seattle, but then I realized there's like some issues up there. So, like the homeless population's like rampant over there, and like I don't know if there's like any enough space around in that facility. Maybe they can go up to like University of Washington, like past the bridge to get to work out there. Could be a possibility, but yeah, I think Europe is a huge one because if you look at the semifinals, which ones have sold out? Every single year.
Netherlands,
Yeah,
Germany.
Netherlands.
Like I honestly think they could end up going like you if they go someplace in Europe, it has to be like in like I think it has to be in like friendly to English like speaking folk.
I
Yeah.
want to Spain.
Like, I
Like, and
wouldn't be surprised if it was like somewhere
Spain,
like
I've also
Italy.
heard
I don't
like
know.
there could Spain's
Dude,
not a bad one where the
the
Madrid
time difference.
CrossFit
Yeah,
championship and they had what was it the Invitational a couple years ago there.
right.
Dude, the time difference isn't that great, so that it's still prime time for TV as well, and it's beautiful. So yes, and there's plenty of space too. It's not like super congested.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to Germany a couple times, so there's some amazing places you can go there. They actually have one of the biggest Air Force bases in Europe called Ramstein. And then there's another little spot called Kaiserslautern, which is like I think half hour away from Ramstein. But like there is tons of places around in those areas you could actually do some crazy things, especially host some things too as well. So that might be an opportunity. So that's my thought. But all right, we're done with the Touch and Go podcast. So thank you everybody for staying this long, and we out. All right, awesome.